All right, tonight we are going to have a green chili chicken enchilada, and I have everything laid out that I need, but I'm going to start the oven at 350. So the oven is started, and I will show you what will be going into the recipe. Okay, so what's going to go in is, my husband is actually vegetarian, and my daughter and I are flexitarians. Once in a while we'll eat meat, but mostly vegetarian. And our niece, she'll eat anything you put in front of her as long as there's not vegetables or onions. But anyway, so I use this brand of meat substitute, and so this will be the chicken for our enchiladas. And then I've got paprika, chili, onion, garlic powder, pepper, salt substitute, cheese, cream cheese, corn tortillas, however you say this, and some salsa. And I'm going to add an inch in with it. And then with the cheese and the sour cream, those are some watch it ingredients because of the fat and saturated fats and stuff that's inside of them. So I just make sure that I'm using less or making sure I'm staying within the serving size of the actual ingredients. So now let's start throwing this together. Okay, so I've got my skillet, and I like to add a little bit of water to it for the chicken substitute. Just add a little bit because you put this in the freezer, and so in order to cook it and shred it, I just use water so that it makes it easier to de-thaw. And I'll just put them in there. If you've never seen what it looks like before, that's what it looks like. It's not very entertaining, that's for sure, but we will add stuff to make it taste good. And the ingredients is, it's made out of like a mushroom sort of, not really sure how to pronounce it, but anyway, it's a mushroom-like product. And then there's egg whites, yeast, and it has onions, sage, and this one I never even realized before, it doesn't have any wheat in it. It says it's suitable for a gluten-free diet. I didn't even realize that until I just read it. So anyway, I'm gonna put them in the pan and bring them to a boil, and then I'm going to shred them with a fork, just like you would chicken. Okay, so this is boiling now, and while that is boiling and heating up, I'm going to make some fresh guacamole. And I don't know if I do it the right way or the wrong way, it's just how I do it. But the first thing, you always check your avocado. Avocados are kind of like presents. You cut them open and you hope that they're good, but sometimes you open them and they're just bad and it just ruins everything. This one's good. So now all I do is just cut up the avocado into little slices, like so, and then I go the other way. Set it aside. Everybody has their preference on how they like to remove the seed. That's what I do. And then I just go like that for it to come down, but do whichever way is safest for you and your knife handling. And I just do that again. All right, then I get a tomato and I just dice it up as well. This tomato has a soft spot, so it makes it harder to cut. All right, and then you add the onions and do the same thing with the onion. You just dice it up. All right, now that I've got all of the vegetables, avocado, tomato, onion, and the lemon in there, I'll start adding some seasoning. So just add a little bit of cumin, some garlic powder, and I always just eyeball everything to what we like, so I don't really measure. And that was paprika, and then I add a little bit of chili powder. All of my seasonings, they don't have any salt added to them. Salt is a big no-no for anybody that has heart issues, and salt is also just something that we all should watch for our health. And since my husband had his heart attack and open heart surgery, we started paying attention to the sodium, and it's amazing how much sodium is in food. So anyway, none of the spices had any of the salt. No salt added, it's just the actual herb. Okay, so that is done. So I will set it aside. And now the chicken is ready for shredding. So I'm going to wash off the spoon. Okay. Now that I have this spoon, it's actually a spork. It's what our niece loves. She's 17, but she likes to eat with a spork. So anyway, I just shred it up, nothing fancy, just like you would normal, and I get it to be about like that. And I'll shred all of these up. All right, so I have it all shredded up. And so now I'm just going to add the same spices basically that I added to the guacamole to the chicken to give it a nice taco taste. So that was cumin. Then I have garlic powder. Use my hand mostly to measure when I'm putting in for the taco seasoning. And the chili powder, I do about 3 things like that. Oh, a little bit extra on that one, but that's okay. And then I will add some paprika. All right, and then I'm going to add some minced garlic. It's not really a garlic powder, but I'm sorry, not garlic. It's dehydrated onions. Not that much. All right, and then normally I'd add a little bit of salt, but we don't do that anymore. So we use a salt substitute, and I've actually grown quite fond of it. Wondered why I wasn't using it this whole time. So again, about the same amount. And then sprinkle, I actually want a little bit of oregano. Just a little bit. Oregano is very potent and it can definitely, you just have to use a little bit to season them. So I'm gonna put my spices away and I'm going to sprinkle some pepper. I have read that pepper is, it has tons and tons of antioxidants in them. So we like pepper. At least I really like pepper. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of salsa to it. This isn't the salsa that I would like to use because this salsa, it's a little bit higher in sodium, but we need to go grocery shopping and it's what I have for tonight. So, you know, gotta do with what we got. So just added a little bit of salsa. I would normally add a lot more salsa, but because that one has a higher sodium content, I definitely am not going to add as much as I normally would. So then I'm going to give this a stir, and I am going to have my stuffing for the corn tortillas, and I will show you what this looks like now that I have mixed all the spices in there so that you can see. So here you go. And that's what it looks like after I'm done adding all of the spices which you just saw me add. So now I'm going to get a pan and warm up the corn tortillas. Okay, now it is time to make the chicken enchilada. And I'm just going to put a little bit of the chicken mixture and a little bit of the cheese, and then roll it up and set it in the casserole pan. I am using a 9x6 casserole pan. And I will just continue to repeat this process until I have all of the pan filled up.
Now I've got all of them lined up and in the pan, ready to go into the oven. And I'm going to put a little bit of the sauce on the top of each one, just like so. And I can finish doing that and then pop it in the oven.
In the oven it is at 350, and we will cook this for 20 minutes. So while the enchiladas are in the oven, I'm going to cook some rice. Start with 2 cups of water to make 1 cup of raw rice. That's how I do it. So I'm going to go grab the rice. All right, so I've just got some white rice. It's the organic long grain rice. And I will put 1 cup in there. And then I will add seasonings to the rice. And what I add is basically the same thing that I added to the chicken and the guacamole. But this time I'm going to put a little bit of turmeric. Very good for you. I've read that it helps with inflammation and has all kinds of healing properties from what I've read. Some garlic powder. Sorry, I keep saying that one. It's onion. Some chili powder. It's basically the same theme of ingredients used in everything. Cumin. Just a little bit. Paprika. Just a little bit. Doesn't ever want to come out very well, so I always end up taking off the lid. Alright, don't need a ton because rice definitely absorbs the flavors really, really well. And garlic powder. Alright. And oregano. And we would normally put in salt, but because we are watching that, we are adding some salt substitute. Crack a little pepper. Just like so. And now I'm going to grab some unsalted butter and put in about a tablespoon in the water that I'm waiting to boil. So just take about that much, which is a tablespoon according to the package, and just plop it down in the water and wait for it to come to a boil. And as soon as the water starts to boil, I add the rice, and then I bring it down to a simmer. And once it gets to simmering, I put the lid on, and it normally takes about 20 minutes for this rice to cook, to be done. And then I'm going to cook up some chili beans for the girls because they really like chili beans with cheese burritos, and that's generally what they have whenever I'm cooking this sort of meal for dinner. So I'm going to heat that up for them, and we will soon be eating. So I just pulled them out of the oven, and I am here to tell you they smell fantastic. They're not exactly the prettiest things yet, but it's okay. We're going to dress them up with the guacamole and the sour cream and maybe just a couple of more pieces of cheese on the top. So as soon as the rice is done, which I've got 9 more minutes on the rice, we are going to start plating this up, but it smells really good. All right, everybody. So now it is done and plated with the guacamole, a little bit of sour cream, some of the rice that finished cooking up, and we are ready to eat. It looks and smells delicious. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again next time. Keep in mind, I am not a doctor, nurse, or nutritionist, and the only person that can be responsible for our health is ourselves. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.